I was inspired to create a negative space painting of leaf shapes that I collected on a recent walk through my neighborhood. So if you want to join me, grab a reference of your favorite leaf shapes, or use your imagination as we relax into watercolor. If you're not sure what I mean by negative space painting, what it is simply painting around an object. So here you can see me drawing a leaf, and instead of painting the leaf itself, we're going to paint around the leaf. I'm using the entire 2-page spread here in my sketchbook, so what you are seeing me do now is attempting to draw the focal leaf, and the focal point is going to be the lightest part of this whole composition. So I'm just creating one large leaf in a pattern in a way that I thought might make emphasis. So in a minute you'll see me create another leaf, and both of them will end up being the lightest colored leaves. So this next step is just to put a light wash of your color across the whole thing. Now the reason I did this was because I didn't want the white of the paper to be the lightest value. I wanted it to be the lightest green I could get out of this very granulating paint. So this paint I'm using is from Bean Paints, and it's called Green Gold. It's one of my favorite colors, and you'll see why. It has a lot of depth, and this whole thing is simply one paint stone, and it's a green and a gold. So you'll see lots of variation in color. So I thought this would be fun to see if I could make a negative painting with just this one color. And did you catch that second leaf I drew? I used the shadow. So that's another little trick you can do if you don't want to freehand your shape and it's an organic shape like that. You can just hold it up and just paint around the shadow, which is so fun and relaxing. I love that technique so much. And here goes layer number 2. The trick to this is to make sure that your paint has a lot of water, and that will create these light values and will allow you to build up in between the layers, and so each layer will get darker as we go along. If you haven't figured it out already, in between layers you're going to have to let your paint dry. So if you have a heat gun tool and you're impatient like I am, you're going to want to get that out so that the paint from your first layer and second layers, in between those layers, they need to be completely dry before you start sketching again. Now the next sketch I'm making here on the right hand side of my composition is the live oak leaf, and you can see it at the top right hand corner of my desk, just sitting there. And I did freehand this one. You'll see another version where I use the shadow as well on that one. And then once again, we're going to paint only the negative space. We're going to paint around the leaves. And not only the live oak cluster here, we're going to paint around also the original oak, red oak leaves that were first painted. So we're going to now start to see that we have 2 values in the positive space of the leaf. Both sets of leaves, actually. Another tip I should probably give you by now is that if you are using a pencil, you're going to want, I would definitely maybe next time use one that's not so dark or charcoal-y, because you don't really want, it didn't really bother me, and I knew it wouldn't, so that's why I just grabbed what was closest to me, which was that charcoal pencil. And but sometimes you don't want to see that pencil line when you're doing these negative space paintings, so keep that in mind when you're drawing and sketching, is you might want to have a pencil that erases, because once you paint over pencil or charcoal, you're not going to be able to erase it. Once again, let your layer dry and we will continue with our composition. And here I am painting around the shadow. So I'm holding up the branches there and letting the light create a shadow, cast a shadow onto my paper. And I just kind of drew around some of the shadows. Not all of them, I just picked the ones that I like the best. And then now the third leaf shape I'm adding is a magnolia leaf. This is from a magnolia tree in my neighborhood, and it's a simple one. You could actually, if you wanted to not fret over some of these more complex leaf shapes, this magnolia leaf is super easy to draw, and you could essentially do an entire negative space painting with just that one leaf shape. But I wanted to challenge myself, and so this was an experiment in composition, value, and control. That's another good thing that this type of painting exercise will do. It kind of helps you learn control of your brush. This is a really nice brush I'm using. It's nice because it wasn't very expensive, but it's great for watercolor. And if you want to know the brand, it was from Jerry's Art Rama. It's called Creative Mark Ebony Splendor. It's a short-handled brush. Again, it is for watercolor, but also acrylic, and it even gives it a 3 out of 5 stars for oil painting. Like, you can use it for oil, although it may not be the best brush for that, but works great for watercolor. And like I said, it helped with the control of placing, that watercolor right along the edge of the leaf shape. And it's a lot of fun. It's actually very relaxing. It's almost like when you color in a coloring book, coloring in between the lines. Well, this is a different way to look at coloring outside the lines. We're not going to go inside the lines, and it's a lot of fun. I hope you give this a try. By now, I hope you can appreciate the granulation in this beautiful paint color, this green gold from Beam Paints. As the paint to water ratio decreases, more of that mica will be in your paintbrush as you're painting, and so this exercise really helped me to understand that about these paints. This is another great reason why you might want to try this negative space painting. It's because it helps you understand your paint. So these are really special handmade watercolor paints from a company out of Canada. Highly recommend you check them out. They ethically source their mica, so I can really get behind that. And they just produce the most beautiful colors. The color curation is also something that really draws me to them as well. And this one is absolutely one of my favorites. So. Okay, this was the last layer, and probably made this a little more complicated than I needed it to be, but decided to trace around the leaf this time, that red oak leaf there, and of course the magnolia, traced around it. And the more pattern you put on here, the more shapes you put on here, the harder it gets to paint around, but it's still a good, fun, relaxing practice. And you'll see this is the last one. So I erased the lines a little bit so they wouldn't be so dark. And now here we go. We're painting around, again, the negative space. Okay, that's it. There is the painting portion completed. Now, after I finished this, I decided that the lightest value was a little bit too light. You know, I mentioned in the beginning that when I went over that first leaf shape with a wash all the way across, because I didn't want the white of the paper to make it too stark, because I knew this color itself was going to be a very dark value at the end, and I wasn't sure how many values I was going to be able to get out of this to make the leaf emphasis blend together with the rest of it. So it felt too stark still. And so what I decided to do was get the Pentel Sparkle Pop pen out and create some lines and help it tone down a little bit. And I think it did. I'm not sure that I love it, but you'll have to tell me in the comments what you think. Was it better before the pen part, or did you think it worked with the pen part? Or does it tone it down enough to you? Anyway, the whole thing was a learning experience, and it's just a little sketchbook practice, and so we did it. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are feeling generous, please hit that like button, and if you would like more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you plan to try negative space painting, and if you do, also remember to tag me on Instagram at BrioPlace, BrioPlace, all one word. That's it. Bye for now.